On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about Autumn Eternal by Panopticon.
It's a good album.
During springtime.
I'll say that now.
You'll say it now.
I'll say it now. I'll say it
You
right
heard it here first, folks. Is good.
He's good.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Bronze Medalist podcast. I'm Kayle.
I'm OJ.
And today, going to be talking about the 2015 album from Kentucky/Minnesota-based black metal auteur, Austin Lunn.
Austin Lunn. Yeah, I thought you were going to say Panopticon.
Oh, no. Well, Austin Lunn, yeah, it's Panopticon,
Yeah.
but really, why I say auteur is
Sure.
Austin Lunn.
Because it's a dude.
It's one guy.
Yeah.
At least that's the creative element of the band is one guy. For performances, there are several.
He has hired guns.
Yeah, he's got hired guns. That's
Yeah.
true. So we're gonna get to that into a bit, but first, some big things happened in the world over the last week.
Yeah.
First thing I want to talk about Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Star Wars happened. I mean, it hasn't. It didn't happen yet.
No, it didn't. But you saw a trailer.
Yeah, there's a trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I'll watch it.
Yeah, I'll go see it.
I'll go see it. It's you know, I feel like I have to watch it at the very least. But it's I was very enticed by Palpatine at the end.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, that like everything else I saw, I was kind of like, okay,
Sure.
it's Star Wars. It's gonna be another JJ Star Wars. It'll probably be better.
There'll be some lens flare.
I'll probably like it more than The Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
But
Apparently nobody really dies.
yeah, no, no one's ever really gone.
No one's ever really gone. That's it. Yeah.
Don't worry. There's a Red Letter Media video, which is every single character death in Star Wars. Where and they just repeat, no one's ever really gone.
No one's ever really gone.
Don't worry. No one's ever really gone. It's fantastic. Other things that happened though that I saw more recently via first there was an official video about the Clone Wars season 7. I think it's season 7. So the animated Clone Wars series never got finished once Disney bought Star Wars.
But yeah,
the series kind of got, left and they moved on to Rebels. They hired the same guy and there were some of the same characters in Rebels, but now finally they're finishing the Clone Wars series, which I find really exciting because I really enjoyed the Clone Wars. I've watched most of the episodes. I like the characters. I'm very invested in those. Very happy to see that. Then today, something that I knew was happening, but some hero, some Bothan spy at the Star Wars celebration released a video of the basically the sneak peek of the Mandalorian TV series. Holy shit.
Yeah.
It looks really fucking good.
Looks fantastic.
I didn't watch the small teaser. This was like a 7-minute video of a scene. And this Mandalorian, played by Pedro Pascal, which is great casting, first of all. Pedro's great. But he walks into this room, and who's sitting there but Werner fucking Herzog.
Yeah.
I damn near came. I thought I was going to have to change my pants. Werner fucking Herzog. And then you got Carl Weathers.
Sure.
Nick Nolte's in there. What was Giancarlo Esposito.
Esposito, right. Yep.
He's in there, so that's great cast. It looks good. I saw IG-88 twirling around doing 360 no scopes. It looks very dark, and I really like that in my Star Wars.
It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. Disney's really gonna make me pay for their fucking streaming service.
Disney's really going to make you pay for.
Disney is making me pay
service.
for the streaming service. And I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know how much use it'll really get outside of the Mandalorian TV series and the Clone Wars. But for that time, it will be worth it.
Think of all the Disney movies you can watch now. You can watch, like, what, Pete's Dragon?
Yeah, the one everybody thinks about, Pete's Dragon. Or I'm sure they'll have Song of the South on there.
Song of the South. I actually own a copy of that.
Seriously?
Yeah, I do.
You better guard it. If Disney's going to hear this, they're going to come and fucking raid your house with their secret death squads that you know they have.
Zippity-doo-dah, taking your movie.
Trying to scrub any trace of that movie ever existing.
The memory of the collective consciousness of humans.
Of Song of the South.
Mm-hmm.
Some other things that happened over the weekend, the evidence of which I have sitting here, it was
Indeed.
National Record Store Day.
I was there.
So I spent a whole bunch of money.
Mm-hmm.
I bought 5 records, spent $127.
And you paused at what, I? Is that what you said?
Yeah. I is where I stopped. The letter I, as I was going through the records. That is where I stopped because I didn't want to spend much more money. So what I picked up, I have, the first thing I grabbed was Alien Weaponry, which is a...
That is A, right?
Yes, that is... Thank you. Good job. Thank you. They are a New Zealand-based thrash sort of groove type band. They all 3 members of the band have Maori ancestry, and so they sing in Maori, and it's pretty freaking great.
Yep.
Works really well, and I really enjoy that. I got 2 Death albums. I got Leprosy, which is the one we talked about a few months ago.
Right.
During
And then the
Death
one that
Metal
I heard
December.
first. Yeah.
Yes, and then we have Spiritual Healing. Then I found a Gojira album, which my sister was kind of helping me browse, and she missed that. She missed this one because Gojira is the only band that she actually has listened to on our recommendation.
Really?
And I saw that and I was like, Hannah, you missed fucking Gojira.
Well, it doesn't say Gojira on it.
Well,
it's got the album
had
art.
plastic on it.
Okay. Yeah.
That had the name of the album and everything. And then I stopped at as I said, with Immortal. It's a Scandinavian black metal band, and it's the album Northern Chaos Gods, which is really the only Immortal album I'm familiar with, mostly because Warhammer.
Sure.
It reminds me of Warhammer Fantasy, so I went for that one. Speaking of Nordic black metal.
Oh, okay, here we go.
It's okay. So if you're listening to this months from now, because this is really going to date when this podcast came out, this is immediately in the wake of the fire at Notre Dame Cathedral.
Yes.
And good God, every single metal memes page that I followed instantly jumped on it with Varg jokes.
And I brought that up before they started posting that shit.
Yeah, it was immediately. It was like, wow. They really jumped on this.
Because Varg lives in he doesn't live in Paris.
It's about a 4-hour drive from where he lives. He lives more in the south of France, but
Yeah.
it's about a 4-hour drive from where he lives to Paris. And I know that because someone posted the drive on Google Maps of this was Varg's commute this morning. It's on one hand, I laughed, okay? It was funny to me. I think one firefighter got injured, but
Which
nobody.
is bad.
Yeah, but nobody died. It's tragic because it is it is a lot of damage to a
global icon.
A global icon, a beautiful piece of architecture and history. But most of the important artifacts got saved.
Sure.
The amazingly heroic chaplain in the fire department, rushing in and out, grabbing the artifacts on his own. That was when I learned about that, I was like, wow, that's pretty awesome. So most of that got saved, and at the end of the day, it's a building.
Sure.
I think it's fine to make a few jokes. Of course, I'm not religious. You're not religious. Neither of us are Catholic, but it's not great to see such a huge piece of history get,
no, you're right. You're totally right.
Get burned, but still, the Varg jokes were pretty funny.
Varg jokes were
The Varg jokes were pretty funny for about an hour, and they haven't stopped since then on Reddit.
Oh, no.
They just keep on coming. It's slowed down, but the day of, there was probably a couple hundred I think some of them were just so low quality that they might have got removed, but it was just, Varg joke, Varg joke, Varg joke. Some of them were very impressive. Some of them were extremely low effort. Most of them were just like Burzum album covers.
Right. Just with a picture of Notre Dame burning.
Yep. And with, grainy black and white filter put on them. And those were fine. Other things, Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. Hello, it's me, Michael Caine. I'm here to talk to you about Game of Thrones.
I did not get a part in this movie. Is it a movie?
It's not a movie. They handed me the script and I said, is my character on the last page of the script? And they said, it's not a movie, Mr. Caine. And I said, well, I'm not doing the fucking picture.
Wait, what is this White Walker that you want me to be?
Michael Caine, the White Walker. The best use of his acting chops. The best possible use.
I'm not fucking doing it.
I ain't gonna fucking do the film. The best possible use of his acting chops.
Michael Caine.
Yeah, Game of Thrones started. I am caught up in the sense that I know the entire plot of the series.
Sure, you know all the characters.
Yeah,
you
I'm
know
familiar with the
happens.
characters. But I have watched probably about 2 or 3 complete episodes of Game of Thrones.
There's more than that.
And indeed there are.
Yes.
Indeed there are more than that. So I want to catch up. It's not feasible for that to happen. I'm tempted to just get a Game of Thrones add-on, an HBO add-on to one of my streaming services, and just watch along as they come out.
Sure. The final series.
The final season series. If we were in the UK,
right,
we could call it a series. But I'm considering getting an add-on for one of my streaming services, because getting an HBO add-on is actually a decent investment, because I quite like a lot of HBO shows. So it'd be a good investment for me at the very least.
Yes, I enjoyed the episode. You have not watched it yet.
Yeah, I've not watched it yet. So
there was a lot of staring. People staring at other people.
Yeah, we won't go into spoilers for those of you out there. Just something to be talked about. I went on a nice walk yesterday.
Nice.
A couple different places. Went to Oak Park here in Minot. Walked around while I was listening to the album we're talking about today, because I wanted to sort of experience it the way I had read a Pitchfork review quite some time ago of this album that suggested perhaps listening to it when you're out in nature, because that's sort of what inspired it, because Austin Lunn is a very avid outdoorsman.
He's a nature boy.
He's a nature boy. So I felt like going out into nature. At the park isn't really nature, right? I mean, everywhere's nature.
Sure.
Everywhere is nature, but the park is still, it's in the middle of town, and you can get into the thick of the trees and whatnot and walk around in there, but it's not too far where you look and there's cars everywhere. And so I wanted to go a bit further away from town, and so there is a trail called Bison Plant Trail, about 4 miles south of town, or southeast of town. And I started walking around there, but that is mainly a bike trail, it seems.
Sure.
And so I was kind of dodging bicyclists, or just cyclists, I suppose.
Or bikists.
Bikers.
Bikers.
With their big beards and bandanas and leather jackets.
Riding through there in their hog.
Yeah, on their hog. So yeah, I was that kind of... It kind of detracted from the experience. The walk was beautiful, and it's really gorgeous out. It's almost like fall right now, because it's 60 some degrees out. Especially yesterday, it was like 60 degrees out. Today it was colder because it's been cloudy and raining all day. But it was really nice yesterday. It was overcast, so it was pleasant.
Right.
Yesterday at about 5, it was just very pleasant because it was nice temperature, no sun, out in the middle of the trees. Lots of birds chirping, all that sort of thing. It was like a nice fall day.
Lots of turds burping.
Lots of turds burping.
Yeah.
And the ground was nice and dry, and I had a good time on the walk. I just kind of wish I didn't have to constantly look over my shoulders, because I couldn't hear cyclists coming, so I had to...
Because you had loud music in your head.
Yeah, I had loud music going. So I want to find some sort of trail that's not 100 miles away, where I can walk without having to worry about getting hit by a cycler. So, yeah.
It became cycler.
Cyclist. I don't know. Person who ride two-wheel pedal thingy.
Person who ride two-wheel pedal thingy.
Oh, hey. Before we continue, I guess, because we kind of started talking about the album, we got some beer here. This is Rogue Out of Line. It's got a penguin with a jetpack on it.
Indeed.
That's pretty cool. It's a West Coast India Pale Ale. And Rogue is where? I wonder. Oregon. Newport, Oregon. And it's good. It's kind of fruity. I like it.
A little bit. It's a little bit fruity.
The nose is a little fruity.
Yeah.
Yes. Smell of beer. But yes, I enjoy it. Okay, so the album. Dropped my boogie board.
And he's going for the boogie board. Can you bend that far? You got it? All right, there he goes.
Okay, so the album info. This is, as we said, Panopticon. They are originally, or he is. I'm just going to say they.
They.
Panopticon was originally a studio-only, Kentucky-based black metal band. Black metal is the best blanket term. It's really... Sure. I think if we wanted to get granular with it, there's atmospheric black metal, there's bluegrass, Appalachian folk, a lot of elements of post-rock. The album immediately preceding this one, which was Roads to the North, had a decent amount of like melodic death metal influence, and there's a little bit of that on this album, but this album tends to be, I think, more... post-rock and post-metal oriented, mixed with the atmospheric black metal.
It's very emotional.
Yes, it's an extremely emotional and emotionally resonant album, which is part of why I enjoyed so much. If you've listened to us before and me talking about why I like the things I like, I tend to gravitate towards emotional music, and this one gets me. It also happens to be like really hipstery black metal, so I can gain some cred with it.
It's very Kayle-ish Kayle music.
It's very Kayle-ish Kayle music.
Yeah.
It's perhaps the most Kayle-ish Kayle music I've been able to find. Austin is originally from Kentucky. He moved, I think probably 2014 up to Minnesota, which is why that album that came out in 2014 was called Roads to the North.
Right.
And he moved up there. He is the co-owner and brewmaster of Hammerheart Brewing Company.
Wow, should have found some of that to bring it tonight.
I don't think you would have been able to find much of their stuff.
Shipped in.
Yeah, have it shipped over. It's not a long shipment.
No.
They're in. I can't remember the name of the town, but it's basically a suburb of St. Paul.
Or St. Paul.
It's on the St. Paul side of the river. So it's not too terribly far away. Next time I go to Minneapolis, I actually would really like to head over there, hop across the river, and check out Hammerheart Brewing.
You're going to hop for the beer.
Yay! And hopefully I'll be able to bring some back, and we can drink some here.
All right.
That would be a good thing. I just don't know when that's going to happen.
Sure.
Next time we'll be in Minnesota, but it might honestly be next time I go to the Renaissance Festival over the summer. But, if I had to give this album a smell, because that's the thing we do. We try to smell these albums. I don't have a physical copy to smell. I ordered a physical copy today.
But you don't have one to smell yet.
But I don't have one to smell right now. I'd have to say, simply because of the cover art, because of what I was doing yesterday, and just the name, it's Dry Leaves, man.
Really? I was going to say it smells like rain. But
rain? Oh, yeah. Rain's also a good one.
Yeah.
Rain is also a good one. But for me, I think it's Dry Leaves. And you know that smell of when you're raking up the yard, and as long as you didn't rake up a bunch of dog shit into the pile as well, you can then jump into it and roll around in it a little bit.
And sometimes you don't know you raked up dog shit.
And maybe, it ended up on your back.
Yeah.
Or if there's no dog shit in there, you make your dad pile all of the leaves on top of you, and then jump out of it absolutely covered in like cockleburrs.
And cockleburrs, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That sort of thing. I picked up a few of those yesterday when I was on my walk.
And he let them go at the station.
I did.
At work today.
Yes.
I got burrs on my shoes.
Well, I hadn't seen him. That's when I threw him in the garbage. Thank you very much.
Where you threw him?
The tone you were using implied I threw them at you or the floor.
It's a funner tone.
It is, I suppose. No, I have to stamp out all fun. This is a serious podcast. Don't you know that? So yeah, I'd say just dry leaves, man. Dry autumn leaves. Well, there's still a little bit of life left in them. The leaves that are out there now, very dry, but also, there's not. They're not currently sending out any fragrances.
Sure, because they're old dry leaves.
They're old dry leaves right now, so they're not still fragrant. The next question is, does it slap?
I think it slaps.
I would agree. I'd very much say it slaps. I think whether or not something slaps has a lot to do with the tempo. I think I'm finding that.
It's funny. There's a thing about the tempo. There's a lot of really just bombastic percussion going on in this album. A lot of just crazy. And the funny thing is I'm listening to this and at the same time realizing I could go to sleep to this.
Yeah, it is. It's just constant. It's going along with one of the names of the songs. It's the percussion is like crashing waves.
I was gonna say, I bet it's my favorite song on the record.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Yeah, it's like crashing waves almost. The percussion on most every song is just wave after wave after wave. And I think on the song Oaks Ablaze especially, it's really helped along by the bass guitar as well. There's sort of this rolling kind of rumbling bass to it,
right?
That I really, really like about that song. And yeah, it is just, it's constant. Not the tightest drumming I've ever heard, but it's all being done by one guy.
Sure.
I don't know if he self-records as well. I mean, I know he performed, like he...
Does he self-produce?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if he self-produces or not. If he does, that would be another level of triumph to this guy's music, because my goodness, just endlessly creative. So if we want to talk a little bit about songs, it opens up with what you described earlier today as the least black metal song you've ever heard, or the strangest black metal song you've ever heard.
Is this black? You said this is black metal, right?
The opening song is a sort of Appalachian folk song called Tamarix Gold Returns.
Yes.
And it's just sort of this slow, very soulful kind of... like I said, Appalachian folk acoustic song that leads you into this album. Then you go immediately into I almost said Roads to the North. It's a similar thing. It's something with the North Woods. Something in the North Woods. Into the North Woods. That's what it is.
Yes.
Into the North Woods is the first full song. And then you have the title track.
Title track's the third.
Yeah. Oaks Ablaze, and you kind of keep going from there. And it's just a really fantastic melding of so many different styles. Like I'm starting to feel like this is American black metal.
That's what I was trying to say earlier. It's Americana. It doesn't feel Nordic. It feels like it was made by an American. Yeah, it really is American black metal. Like you can listen to it and say like, this is ours, because most other true black metal bands, in a sense, like if you're discounting like Death Heaven, which is one of the only like big American black metal bands I can think of, but like, I mean, they're not, what I'm trying to say about Death Heaven is they're not really black metal. They're black metal-ish.
Yeah. Or like Wolves in the Throne Room, I guess, is more black metal-ish, and I think that's one of the big like contemporaries for Panopticon and sort of prototypes for that style of music, because Panopticon, I think, didn't get started until like the late 2000s.
So how old is he?
Austin is probably in his late 20s, early 30s.
Really? Okay.
He's got a kid. Not that you have to be in your 30s to have a kid, but he's got children.
Some of us are in our 40s with children.
Yeah. he's got children and that sort of thing. Yeah. So I assume he's a bit older. I don't know exactly how old he is. And I don't know how old he was when he started Panopticon. We have the window open, to get some ventilation, because I have my heaters on all day and I didn't need them on. Well, I kind of needed them on. It was kind of cold today, but
it's a bit sweaty in here.
Yeah, it is a little bit sweaty in here. I'm actually open.
Here you go. It's fine.
Wider.
There you go. Now we have more voices than noise.
Oh well,
that's fine.
It adds some ambiance to it.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't know how old he was when he started doing Panopticon. Let me just make sure actually that I've got my timeline right. Created by Austin Lunn. Yeah, started in 2007 to the present. And their material, let's take a look. Their full albums is their self-titled in 2008. Then the album Collapse. The next album is On the Subject of Mortality, which is the shirt that I have. I ordered a shirt. I couldn't find one for Autumn Eternal, so I went with On the Subject of Mortality. Social Disservices in 2011, and then sort of his breakthrough in 2012, which was Kentucky. And that album had a lot to do with like mountaintop removal and coal mining and that sort of thing, all the issues affecting rural Kentuckians. Kentuckians? Kentuckyites?
Kentucky dudes?
Kentuckers?
Mother Kentuckers?
You mother Kentucker. Then 2014 was Roads to the North.
Yeah.
And we've got Autumn Eternal. And the most recent full length is The Scars of Man on the Once Nameless Wilderness, which is a wordy title. And that one's actually a double album. Part one is your typical Panopticon fare, and then part two is actually entirely bluegrass and folk and Americana.
Wow.
So he just doubled down on it for that part, which I think is pretty cool. He's not the greatest clean singer, but he does it justice.
I notice a lot of his harsh vocals are buried deep in the mix.
Yeah, they are buried pretty deep.
Yeah.
I think part of that is that it just adds a bit more to the ambiance rather than it doesn't distract from the music. It becomes a part of it.
It makes it sound louder.
Yeah. I would kind of agree, and maybe that's because you're shifting your focus to try and hear them.
Sure.
Which might be distracting for some people, but
I dig it.
Yeah, I like it as well. His harsh vocals, are a bit buried, and maybe not the best, but I think it works great for what he does. And it's really a lot of mixes. He's got sort of your regular harsh screams, not so much into the higher like black metal screech register.
Right.
More of a typical scream and that sort of thing. And then some. He does have some growls on here.
He does.
Some deeper growls every once in a while. And I think every element just kind of comes together. Every element is at the same level.
Right.
It's and they become something more than the sum of their parts, I'd say, because you could take every little piece and say, oh, this could be better. Like the guitar solos, for example, could be a little bit more creative. Some of the riffs, I feel like, oh, there could be a bit more going on with this riff.
But
that
all
I can
of it
imagine.
Together just makes it such a melody, such a great melody.
When you put it together, it sounds amazing, and it's better for it. And nothing is to the point where there's no missed potential necessarily, because you start to think, well, if he did do this, I wonder if it would almost spoil it. Going back to nature, it's like, oh, we can make this better, but it's not the way it should be.
You can't improve on nature.
Yeah. This album is kind of like nature a little bit. It really makes you think. I think like I've been on this kick. Maybe it's because I've been on this kick for a couple of months ever since I watched that Ken Burns National Parks documentary. But like I've really been yearning to get out and spend some more time in nature, and the weather is finally turning, and I can finally start to go do that.
Dude, you know what we need to do?
What?
At some point, and then podcast about it? We need to go fishing.
Yeah, I mean, it's an option that's absolutely open to us. We can,
noted.
At some point, we'll go fishing. I thought you were going to say we should record a podcast like out in the middle of nowhere in the woods or something.
Ooh.
That's also something
we
can do. I have the equipment to do that.
By a campfire.
Yeah, that'd be some great ambience.
Yeah.
Ambiance. Ambiance. So, yeah, I think we gave it a pretty decent sort of background on the record and how our feelings about it.
Yeah, because the songs are so short.
Yeah, the songs are so very short. Now these are pretty long songs. Actually,
long songs.
Apparently these are relatively short by Panopticon standards, or at least some of them. But I think the shortest song on the album is probably 6 minutes.
Like 6 minutes, right? And you know, and it lends to, because of the way it's produced and the way it's written, it lends to zoning out a bit.
Yeah,
yeah. You're listening to it, and it becomes sort of background.
It becomes theme music almost.
Right. It
and
does.
That's really how it felt for me when I was walking around, and like the music was always like on my mind while I was walking around. But I wonder if anyone really like looked at my face, because I probably looked high as shit.
Oh sure.
Well, I
mean, you were.
Yeah, and I was. I probably looked super high because I was just kind of like slack-faced and wide-eyed and just looking around at the trees and everything. And that's sort of what I do when I'm out in nature, is I just, you know, I'm not thinking about anything. And that was the album, I think, helped with that. Is I was listening to the music, and I wasn't thinking about anything. My brain was just kind of off, and I was really experiencing nature.
Excuse me.
I hope that picked up. I hope they heard the shitty car that drove by. But yeah, like I wasn't thinking about anything. I was just experiencing the album and experiencing nature, minus the audio element of nature. And once the album was over, I took my headphones out and was listening to what was going on around me. Thankfully, we live in a part of the country where I don't have to worry about getting stabbed, first of all, and or killed by some manner of creature that I wandered upon because I wasn't listening.
We have coyotes here.
Yeah, but not quite that close to town. There was still a fair number of houses relatively nearby, but it's a pretty sizable chunk of just trees.
I've never walked that track.
It's really nice out there. It's just, I don't know if there's a day of the week or a time that's better to go where there's not a bunch of cyclists. It was nice though. I really liked it.
I might almost take my cycle.
Yeah, you could. Yeah. Your bicycle.
My bicycle. Yeah, okay. I wouldn't take my motorcycle. That would
be
rude.
Ride your dirt bike around on that mountain bike track.
Hey, kid on the trike, move.
That'd be funny. But yeah, like it really kind of it just stayed there. The album just sort of stayed.
It lingers
in my mind, and it lingered, and it was just a great soundtrack for walking around that way. And like we said, it's something that you can imagine yourself falling asleep to, not because it's boring, but because it's relaxing in a way. It is comfortable. It is warm, and it's
something you don't usually associate with black metal.
Yeah. It was very warm was the thing, and I'm having trouble describing it because it's like I don't know.
Give it a listen.
Yeah, you definitely give this album a shot. I'd say if any of what we're saying sounds at all intriguing to you, because I was talking about sort of the look on my face. Like I was just kind of just slack faced and wide eyed and looking around like a 4-year-old. Somebody's calling for their dog.
Yeah.
Just looking around like a 4-year-old that's, in a new environment and has never seen anything before, anything like that before. Not that I've never been out in the woods.
What are these leaves?
What are these?
These tree feathers.
Like I grew up, part of it is it's like a return for me. Like I grew up, in the river bottoms where there's a lot of trees and running around in the woods by my neighbor's house and behind my parents' house and, playing out in environments like that. And it's been, I'm going to close the window now. That guy with his massive fucking diesel. But
it'll start to stink in here.
Yeah. But I grew up in a place like that, and so for me it was really, really refreshing. I felt really, really, really relaxed last night when I got done with my walk and I came home. I felt really refreshed and really relaxed. because I hadn't done something like that probably since I've been to college, other than when I'm out hunting. But in that sense, there's an added element of stress in that you're carrying a gun and you're looking to kill something.
Now, when you go hunting, do you ever have buds in? Do you ever?
Oh no. You
got to be listening to what's going on when you're hunting.
I mean, you have earplugs in.
Sure.
But you should definitely be paying attention as much as you possibly can while you're hunting, especially if you're walking around with other people who also have firearms.
Sure. And are drinking.
Yes, and are completely shit-faced. Since I go hunting with my dad, that's not really something that...
Not an issue.
That's generally not an issue that we have to worry about. When he was my age, that was something they did, but I'm too old for that sort of shit. And it's also horribly irresponsible.
Terribly.
But
that happens a lot, though.
Yeah. No, one time...
Schnapps and rifles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we did have beer in the camper, but that was when we were done.
Sure.
For the day.
Of course.
But like while we were out there this year, there was some situation where I only had one earplug in for some reason, and my dad and I started shooting, and it was like my left ear and just
Ooh.
It was not great. Always wear your hearing protection while shooting, people.
Always. Yeah, I used to be able to hear dog whistles.
And now that's just gone.
Now that's gone.
Well, you're also past 30, which is just generally one of the cutoff dates for high frequency stuff like that.
What are the little hairs called in your ear?
I'm thinking cilia, but that's like a cell. I mean, I think they might actually be called cilia or something like that. But
that's so silly.
Like there's like a blanket. Cilia is kind of a blanket term for little
hairs,
little phalanges,
right,
on things.
Little fingers.
Sansa. I've only loved one woman my whole life. Your sister.
Your aunt, actually.
Where were we at?
Okay, playing favorites.
No, we didn't talk about the score, actually.
Oh, did we talk about the score?
We never found out what the score is.
Okay.
So I found 8 reviews for an average review score of 83.75. There were a lot of 90s, a lot of the 80s that brought that down were simply because there were a fair amount of reviewers who were using a out of 5 rating system. So one of them was...
the math is what really the enemy here.
Yeah, the math is the enemy. Because to me, like when I think of 4 out of 5, I think that's closer to 90, but mathematically it's 80.
Sure.
And so yeah, I prefer out of 10 or out of 100.
Right.
When I'm looking at reviews.
Base 10 is better math.
Yeah, I prefer that style of review. Then you have people that use out of fucking 7 because they're stupid. So yeah, that was the score. Pretty favorable stuff. There was no Metacritic score because I probably wasn't big enough. And there's either that or there is a Metacritic score, but Wikipedia does not have a separate page for Autumn Eternal. It's just all the Panopticon page on Wikipedia. So yeah, time to play favorites. Let's start with you.
Sleep to the Sound of Waves Crashing.
That's a good choice.
That was my favorite song. I enjoyed that thoroughly.
And that probably has the biggest, besides the last song, which is The Wind's Farewell, it probably has the biggest section of acoustic, or at the very least softer music. There's a big middle section.
It's a very dynamic song.
Yes, very, very dynamic song. And yeah, I greatly enjoy. I really like all of the songs on this album, except for maybe the second to last one. My favorite, I really waffled between a bunch of them, but number 1 I have to rate Pale Ghosts.
Pale Ghosts, that was my number 2.
Yeah, I really, really, really like the main riff in there. I could listen to that riff over and over and over for hours.
Which you could if you just play that song twice back to back.
Yeah. And like I never wanted that. I never wanted it to end.
Sure.
Especially when I was walking around yesterday. Like I just wanted it to keep going. And I almost feel like Pale Ghosts really should have been either the last song or the penultimate song. It's the third to last, and it felt like an album closer to me. but then you go further along, and then you get to The Wind's Farewell, which really is a really good album closer.
Yes, it is. It does a good job.
On any other album, I think Pale Ghosts would be the album closer, but it also timing wise, it would be the album closer. Because then there's 14 more minutes of song after Pale Ghosts for an hour, and I think it's an hour and 1 minute is how long this album is. My next favorite was the title track.
Title track's a great song as well.
I really like the title track. And then Oaks Ablaze. I really enjoy Oaks Ablaze as well. I think the reason why I like those ones is they're just... they all have really strong main riffs, really, really strong main riffs, and I really appreciate that. Anytime when you hear a main riff and you go, I want to hear more of that. I want to hear as much of that as possible.
That's a good song.
I feel like that's a good song. Okay, those are our favorites. Final thoughts: bronze, silver, gold. Did not place.
I give this at least a silver.
At least a silver. I always go with my heart. My heart says gold.
Okay.
Like those autumn leaves. I mean, bronze is also the color of an autumn leaf, but
silver like autumn leaves. that doesn't quite track, but
I'm going with gold.
All right.
Tamarek's gold has returned. It was a gold medal he won at the Olympics. I'm going with gold. I got to go with my heart. This album has come to mean a lot to me in the last couple of months. I really enjoy it.
And it's coming to mean a bit to me in the last couple of hours.
Yeah. While I was washing dishes.
Exactly.
See, that's like I had a thought earlier today is like a segment that we could do would be like experiments on experiencing the album, like me walking around in nature, and then I realized OJ's every week would be like, how did you experience the album? Oh, I was washing dishes.
Yeah. What did the album smell like? Dawn.
Pizza grease.
Yeah.
That was it's something that I can do on my own, I guess, is figure out like how do I want to experience this album. Most of the time I feel like it'll be, I went for a walk.
I could definitely see myself going for a walk and listening to this again.
Yeah, it is. It's quite good. I was disappointed when I was walking around Oak Park that the park was too small for the album.
Sure. Well, yeah, it's not an hour and minute long walk.
Yeah, it certainly is not. So I think if I had started the album and really walked along the entire trail out at Bison Plant, I think that probably would have been a good fit. But I had about half the album to go when I arrived.
Sure.
And sort of cut my walk a little bit short.
Did you drive out there?
Yeah. I didn't walk 4 miles to walk a 2-mile trail. 2 or 3 mile trail or however long it is. Yeah, I didn't walk 4 miles out of town.
What is that by?
It's just by the highway. Along Highway 52.
Okay.
It's kind of really about halfway between Minot and Sawyer.
Oh, okay. I hear you.
Right before that big hill where,
sure.
where you're going up towards Sawyer. There's a big sign for the Minot Parks District, and it's beautiful out there, even at this time of year. And it's the other thing that was really nice about the walk is no bugs.
Well, yeah, this time of the year is great for barbecuing and walking outside.
There's no bugs. As long as it's not raining and super windy out, it's beautiful. And if it's not raining or super windy out, it's probably not a day in spring in North Dakota.
No, exactly, because it's supposed to be back into the 70s on Friday.
Yeah.
And 35-mile-an-hour winds.
Hey.
Yeah.
Welcome to North Dakota. You can never leave.
I tried.
Okay. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap things up?
Man, I don't know. I rode my motorcycle over the weekend again.
There you go.
I enjoyed that. I took my son out around town. He wanted to go for a ride. I really want to ride more. I think about it a lot.
Hey, you're getting there.
Yeah.
You're pretty soon going to be able to ride your bike to work every day, and you're getting there. You're getting close.
Getting close.
We're getting closer and closer. One thing that we should address is what are we doing next week?
What do we do next week?
What are we doing next week?
I completely forgot to have something prepared for next week.
It's your week next week.
It is my week next week.
What are we doing, OJ? Spit something out, coward.
Spit something out, coward. Spit something out, coward, he says.
Yeah, so come on.
Have to pull something from the back of my brain. Favorite metal albums. There are too many. Okay, I know. Because you're not really into thrash, I'm going to pull a thrash album out.
Okay.
I'm going to pull out Violence's Eternal Nightmare.
Violence is Eternal Nightmare.
Violence, Eternal Nightmare.
The band is Violence. Okay, creative name.
Uh-huh.
Eternal Nightmare.
Eternal Nightmare. It's Rob Flynn.
Okay.
It was the band he was in originally in San Francisco.
Before Machine Head.
Before Machine Head, yeah.
Okay.
And I really loved this album. It was
all right,
really good. So let's give that a spin. It's from 1989, I want to say, or 88.
All right. What should I like? What style of thrash is it? Is it more of a Slayer side, or is it more of a like a Metallica side, or like an Overkill side? Like what side of thrash is it on?
You ever listen to Exodus?
I don't think so.
Oh. It's definitely...
Is Exodus a sub-band of Testament?
No.
No.
Zing. No, it's...
Berzupul.
I guess I could have put a Testament album as well, but no.
Didn't we already listen to Testament?
I don't think we did.
No, that was just Overkill.
I was going to buy a Testament album at record, but I realized I don't own a record player.
Yeah, you should get a record player.
Get a record player.
And then you can be a horrible addict like me.
Yeah, terrible. Yeah, my family would love that. Yes, no, Violence, Eternal Nightmare from 1988, and give that a listen. And it's a lot. There's a lot of sort of Bay Area punk thrash influence.
All right, I can dig it.
Mm-hmm.
I can dig it. We will do that next week, and then I think the week after we'll go for the album that I skipped over for Autumn Eternal. We're going to go with When a Shadow's Forced into the Light by Swallow the Sun, finished doom metal band. So
man, you're just throwing me all this emotional music. I'm throwing you this fun like...
What can I say? Kayle weeks are weeks for you to be depressed and think about... Hi, I'm Kayle. I'm here to make you sad and... Talk about feelings and stuff. I don't know.
I'm more on the supply side of violence.
Yeah, I was trying to go for a Scott Pilgrim joke there.
Yeah, I know. Really, I got you there.
I forgot how the joke went. But it's what I like.
I like it too. So
it's what I do.
I have a wide.
It's what I do. I make people sad.
I've been listening to thrash metal and crying over it since before you were born.
Since before you were born, Sonny.
Twinkling in your daddy's scrotum.
Oh, you went that direction this time. I feel because this is episode 50. We could just end it on that. That was one of the first things you said. That can be one of the last things you said. No, it's not going to be the last. Yeah, this is episode 50.
Is this episode 50?
Happy episode 50 to us.
Is it episode 50 with just us?
No.
I was going to say.
No, won't be till next, probably late. Well, we've missed a couple of weeks, so
sure.
Early next October, because your first episode, I think, was September 10th.
Wow.
Of
mine like a steel trap.
So
yeah. Yeah. Actually, I do know that. So I recommended it to a friend.
Okay, and it was you saw the release date of the first episode. So yeah, 50 episodes. I mean, you've only been here for 29 of them, but
hey, cheers!
Cheers to us.
Skull.
Cheers to you, Jaron, out there for doing the first 20.
Thanks, Jaron. Thanks for warming the crowd for me, Jaron.
Thanks for warming the crowd up for OJ. We love you, buddy.
All right, drinking to Jaron.
Okay. If you like this sort of thing, please check us out on social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. You can retweet stuff, share stuff, do that sort of thing, and let people know about us, because that's the only way we're going to grow, because we're fucking cheap.
And once again, we haven't talked about this in forever. If you want to send us money, we'll give you a shout out.
I do have a PayPal account set up now, so.
Okay. Send us money on the PayPal account. And we'll give you a shout out. We have no problem. We're whores.
If you're serious about wanting to give us money, then yeah, you can. I can give you my PayPal information, and you can send us a couple of bucks.
Because it cost me money. This was like $12 for this 6-pack of
beer.
We
can't write off this beer as business expense.
No, my brother actually yelled at me when I called him. I called him on his birthday this year. I said, I'm doing a podcast. You should give it a listen. He said, really? How much are they paying you for that? They're not paying me for that.
Well, maybe he thought you were doing it for a radio station.
Well, I explained. I said, it's a dude in his second bedroom, and we talk about metal albums. Well, you don't make any money on that?
No. It's a podcast. Nobody makes money off of these unless you're fucking Adam Carolla or Mark Maron or something. You don't make money off of this shit. This is what we do for fun.
Exactly.
But if you want to help us do it for more than just fun, that's an option that's open to you.
You can send us money and or sex.
Yeah, sure. We've actually had decent traffic over the last couple of weeks.
Sweet.
Surprising. I don't know where it came from. Decent enough traffic. So if you're out there and you're a new listener, hello to you.
Hello to you. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening. Yeah. So with all that said, I think it's time for us to bring this pony
into the stable.
Back on into the stable. Yeah. So this has been another episode of the Bronze Metalist Podcast. I'm Kayle.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.